Oh my gosh, this Reinhardt's shield is glitching behind a wall right now. It's kind of funny to watch. God damn it. What is our other either? Oh.
Hey, what is up, guys?
God, I barely missed you.
Slim here. I'm joined by the lovely Hearty. Would you like to say hi,
No.
Hearty?
Hello.
Uh, Today's topic, guys, is Twitch's new guidelines for streamers regarding clothing and what they're allowed to do on stream and not allowed to do. And today is gonna be a fireball. So let's jump into it. Hardy, you're aware of the new Twitch guidelines, yes?
Yep.
And boy, are they a shitstorm.
Oh yeah.
So, basically, for those not aware, Twitch's new guidelines are
Hell bitch.
basically you're not allowed to show your nipples if you're a female, and no one is allowed to show their genitals. And there's some borderline of now you're supposedly not even allowed to show your feet. This is in response to commonly known as Twitch thoughts. You see them everywhere. You go on any female streamer just about, and they usually have some form of cleavage going on because, as we all know, sex sells. Now, what do you think about this, Hardy?
Well, it's weird because like there's also the thing going on with iDubbbz and his girlfriend. And I think it's like a very similar aspects. Like there's so many websites that one person can like go to do like to get paid and do the exact same thing. Like yeah, Twitch has a mature like audience settings, but to have like there's some common sensible things about Twitch that makes it that you shouldn't have to do those extreme guidelines. It's like there's rules about that not being allowed, and to use a platform and to abuse it, that's just I don't really care. Like as a woman, it's like to see someone do that, it's just why you have so many other resources to be more successful. Why use a platform that wasn't meant to be that way? So that's
Exactly.
my.
And viewers, this is why today's topic is about Twitch's guidelines, because it's a legitimate problem and you guys need to be aware of this. As you know, anybody who watches my channel is usually also will watch me stream from time to time, usually Dark Souls content.
Ooh, good content. Oh, God.
And the reason we're bringing this to you guys' attention is I have seen a lot of it on Twitch. A lot of people have gotten banned recently. In fact, Party, you may not be aware that you're aware of who Ninja is, yes.
Yeah,
A
I'm more of
young
Ninja.
people's influencer. He recently called out Alinity for her shitty
Really?
behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You know, abusing her cats,
Oh God, yeah.
remember the whole vodka incident?
Mm-hmm.
And, you
Yeah, I
know,
remember that.
that's a genuine thing. The reason why all of this is happening is because Twitch lets people get away with it.
And it gives them money, even
Yep.
though that breaks their guidelines. That's where a lot of money
If
comes
it
from.
breaks their guidelines but it gives them money, until recently, they've let it
Yeah.
happen. They've let it go
Yep.
on.
And
And I
that's the thing
understand,
is
yes,
like,
money.
yeah, but also like if you think about it, like all their bigger resources, Ninja, for example, is gone. How else are they going to get money except
Yep.
through stuff that breaks their guidelines, but also at the same time gives them money? Like they were very, very biased, and there's been a lot of shady rumors about them bending the rules
For certain streamers.
for certain streamers due to certain actions they did towards Twitch.
Yep.
Now, if that's true or not, I don't know. But knowing business wise, I can totally believe it, which is why at the same time, I am very skeptical about like my own channel and how I use it compared
Yep,
to
I also am
how other people.
because who's not to say that I stream Call of Duty at some point and I've seen some racist names on there, you know. We've
Mhm.
all played Call of Duty and other multiplayer games, you know. We've seen the names
Mhm.
before, racist remarks, sexual remarks, stuff like that. It happens.
Yeah.
And I get it. Some people think it's funny. It's usually the younger crowd that does it, but there are older guilty members.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like from what I could see, Twitch has no like settings or like ways to protect people that are minors from just going on because they
Yep,
want to. Like
and
all
just
it says
viewing
is
them.
it's immature.
Yep,
Exactly. They don't
because
they
if you
don't
sign into
they,
Twitch, oh, you must be 18.
yeah, but how many people do you know actually follow those rules besides me? That's
Lit-
the thing is like people can
Literally,
just
I
take
know
one of
that
their
people
yeah,
don't. We all know it.
exactly. Yeah, and what's going to stop someone from saying, "Oh, this website is for people over 18?" What's going to stop them from actually choosing that just because they can? There's no
Yep.
actual like setting to make it sure that doesn't happen.
And the reason why that can't be a reality is because in order to check that, they would have to provide some form of ID, and that would strip us of online anonymity. And for those of
Exactly.
you listeners who don't know what anonymity is you can be anonymous on the internet.
It protects people's freedom of speech in a sense, as long as it's within the guidelines of the website, as long as the website doesn't
And speaking of which,
break the
that
rules
brings
of
up
its
another
country.
topic. The government actually recently, in this whole corona epidemic, tried to pass a bill preventing you from keeping your online
Yeah,
anonymity. Sorry
exactly.
about that. And they're basically going underneath like they did with net neutrality, but the internet exploded when they found out about that.
Yeah.
So it's time, listeners, that we make some noise for that. Because otherwise they could start using the internet to spy on you. Regardless of whether you're doing something wrong or not, it's wrong to spy on somebody.
Yeah.
You can't
Because there's
spy
going to
on the
be
average person.
more innocent people than bad people on the internet being exposed to
Yep.
having their freedom
And their entire
disposed of.
argument for passing this bill is, oh, it'll help us keep drug dealers off like Reddit and
Ooh.
like Facebook and stuff like that,
Yeah. But
which
how many
may
people
not
are
be
they
the
going to.
case.
Yeah, but how many people are they exposing it in the process for to
Yep.
do that is the thing.
Who's not to say that Billy's over there live chatting with his girlfriend and he does something embarrassing,
Exactly.
and now he's held responsible for that because he did something embarrassing, like he stuttered or something, and now everybody thinks it's funny. I'm not
Yeah.
saying the U.S. government would get that out, but somebody could hack in and watch, the government
Yeah.
fucking, watching people.
Like, yeah, I actually know someone's whose uncle went into the government, was able to get a job in the government because they were able to hack into their system. What's going to stop someone from doing that
Yep.
to like thousands of millions of people?
Just like in Australia, just I think a few years ago they had a nationwide porn filter, and
Yeah,
within 30 minutes it was hacked by like a 17-year-old or something.
yeah. But yeah, and that's the thing is like just because you're going to ban it, that's another problem. But it's still reality is just because you ban it doesn't mean it's going to stop someone.
Yep.
Like it's the same with drugs. Like just because it just makes someone want to have it more in a sense. It's like rebellion faves. You're
People.
gonna ban it? Okay, we'll just pirate it. We're just gonna
Yep.
do more legal stuff to get it.
People still do weed, and weed is illegal in a lot of places still.
Exactly.
I personally think that weed is not harmful at all. The amount you would have to smoke to die from it or cause any kind of harm is just ludicrous. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to smoke that much because, one, it's not physically possible.
Yeah. And then and that's the thing is like just because you're protecting someone, what is what is the worthiness of protecting someone slash taking away their sense of freedom?
Yep, it's not right, and it's a problem. But
Yep.
here's the biggest thing. The biggest thing about all of this, listeners, is that Twitch needs to start actually watching the streams of people who
Mm-hmm.
aren't maybe quite as big as, like, oh, Alinity or fucking Ninja or Tfue.
Yeah.
Basically any of the well-known names. Anybody in their top 100 streamers, I'm calling out at this point.
Yeah.
You guys need to be watching those streams because they could have harmful content.
Yep.
If you're streaming a mature rated game, there needs to be a way to prove that you have the mental maturity to watch that stream. Like if I stream Grand Theft Auto and I go pick up prostitutes.
Yeah.
Recently Bully has had a big spike in fucking in streaming on Twitch, the game Bully. Rather
Mm-hmm.
old game, but you know, lots of mature content in that game.
Yes.
Lots. And the reason why is because there was rumors that there was going to be a Bully 2, but it got canceled.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that that game got canceled. That was a very good game series as far as I'm aware. And there's nothing we can do about it. But as consumers, we can make noise. And we can request that they do it. I mean,
Yeah.
we did the same thing for like the Crash Bandicoot games and Spyro. Everybody fondly remembered those games, and we made a whole lot of noise about those games.
Yeah.
And the companies listened. Those games were excellent. And there's no reason to charge $60 for your remaster of a game that you bought years ago. And probably still have somewhere around, you know. At least somewhere, I would hope. Some of those original games are actually worth quite a nice sum.
Yeah.
The original
And
Luigi's Mansion is worth over $100 right now.
Yeah. Final Fantasy VII's over 200 in some places.
Oh yeah. For the OG version, it's quite expensive.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. Like, as much as like freedom of like speech and stuff like that goes, the problem that comes back in to the company is, as a company, you have these guidelines, and if you're gonna bend them for someone else, you're gonna make it very hard for people to not argue. Hey, you get to bend it for these people. Why can't you bend it for us? It causes a huge, huge favoritism that will push people away, as well as cause a rift in your business. So if you're going to have a guideline, you have to stick to it no matter how much that person might be giving you money.
And that's why Twitch is losing a lot of streamers. A lot of streamers are going to fucking Mixer, YouTube, there's other sites. I know a lot of streamers have actually stopped streaming and they're just making YouTube videos now.
Yeah.
And it's sad that it's come to this point where normal people, you and I, who don't have a whole lot of viewers, have to talk about this and get the word out. So please, viewers, if you see this video, spread it. Twitch needs to be held accountable for their actions. And Susan needs to stop taking people's videos down.
Yep.
For things like she recently said that anybody who talked about who said something about if you talk about the coronavirus and what you say is not true, it's going to get taken down.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you should spread false information about the coronavirus, but if you make a joke about the coronavirus and Susan doesn't like it, there's a good chance your video will be removed.
And that, again, like, there's some, like, that as a website, even though it's technically its own website and it has its own rules, that is still ruining one person's freedom of speech.
Yep.
Like there's literally legal parts where it's not illegal to lie about information as long as it doesn't hurt someone.
Yep. For
Or joke
context,
about it.
listeners, you can't go into a crowded movie theater and scream out "fire" and
Well,
not expect to get kicked out and then held legally responsible. You can get a charge called inducing panic. And you
well,
should.
yeah. But if you say, "Hey, there's a fire," and there's actually a reasonable reason to do it, or someone else says fire and then you say fire, you're not held legally responsible.
Nope.
There's a gray area about it, but technically, yeah. Like
You're
you
allowed
can
to do
say,
that.
yeah, you can easily. That's the thing about another problem with YouTube and Twitch. If you talk bad about someone,
Yep,
you
there's a
should
good
not
chance
be
you'll be
held
banned.
legally responsible because
You don't even have to
that
talk bad
is
about
part
them. You can just criticize their actions and be like, well,
exactly
here's
that
what
is
I would
part
have
of
done if I was in this situation. And
yeah,
now you'll
and
be in
that is
trouble for it, and that's bullcrap.
exactly yeah, and that's part of the legal speech. Just because someone else doesn't like you saying that about them, as long as it isn't defaming them, you are legally
Yep.
allowed to say those things.
As long as you're not slandering them, you should be allowed to say that. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, if you don't like if you don't like one of the big YouTubers on YouTube and you don't like their content, you can say, I don't like their content. I can understand why other people like it, but I do not. You are
Mm-hmm.
perfectly within your legal rights on the platform to say that, unless they state otherwise. Because a third party, i.e., there was a man who sued Xbox Live for banning his account because he said racist remarks.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to tell them that they couldn't ban him under the Second Amendment. But Xbox Live is not a government affiliated organization, so what he said is
Exactly.
incorrect. They
Yeah.
can and probably should have banned him, as they did,
Yep.
but at the same time, I've seen people who've had way worse things, and they just remove it from their profile and move on.
Yeah. Well, that's a problem I noticed that one of my friends, a really good friend of mine, pointed out multiple times at PlayStation is that and Blizzard that you literally like multiple people have to report one person just for them to get
Yep,
checked out
because the
on.
flags have to be rose. The flags
Yep,
have to be
exactly.
rose,
Or they just
or
don't
else they
care.
just don't care.
Exactly. But that's the thing is like these day and age, almost anything that people see as negative towards another race, even if you may be of that race, can be seen as racism when really people, the real definition isn't what a lot of people see it as. It's like that's stripping of like a serious problem of its actual importance and what it actually means just because someone's feelings get hurt. And so a lot of people who say stupid things aren't actually racist, and yet they say it, and people get mad about it, even though it does not hit the actual legal definition of that qualification. Just because it hurt a few people's feelings, and oh, we don't want to be in trouble because these people don't like it, therefore we're going to block you for it.
Shit, I failed the level.
Fuck.
Sorry.
It's okay.
So, listeners, this is why we're gonna start having this as a regular segment. It's going to
Yeah.
be I'm gonna try to make this into a regular thing. If you guys like it, I'm gonna gauge the audience. And if you guys like this can be a regular thing. We can, if you want to see it over a different game, I'll turn the sound off so that you can hear our voices. And it can just be
Yeah.
regular old content. I can keep releasing videos like I have been. It doesn't matter, guys. You guys have the power to tell me what you want to see.
Even though we are the ones making the content, our content doesn't matter unless people watches it.
Yep.
We're serving you, and you're just rewarding us for service, just like any other business.
Yep.
Ah,
Only instead of money, we get views.
exactly.
The very
But
important
yeah,
thing to remember about all of this, guys, we're not way up above you. We're not saying we're better than you. We want to entertain you. As content creators, that's all we want to do. We want to entertain you. We want to make you happy. So please, make sure you stay aware. Check your facts. Read everything. Read the fine print. Always, no matter what, check your facts.
because you never know when something important just get and that tends to be taken for granted gets taken away from you from underneath your own eyes.
Mm-hmm. Look at a lot of things in history have happened like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where somebody said something and it turned out that it wasn't true, but people treated it as if it was.
Yep. So many people got ruined by that, especially the last few years. So many people's names
Yep.
got ruined by that.
Alyssa Milano, I think it was. I think
Johnny
it
Depp,
was.
Vic Mignogna.
Yep, Vic Mignogna. A
People,
lot of people just called out the hashtag #MeToo movement. I think it was
yep,
Melissa Milano who just called it out just recently in the
yep,
past couple weeks. And that has ruined a lot of people's lives.
yep,
Because even if you're not affected by it, you have to live in fear as either a man or a woman. It doesn't really matter.
yeah,
Just because somebody doesn't like you, they can say, "Oh, well, they mistreated me."
yep.
And you can cry on social media and get attention for it.
Yep. And just because it doesn't affect you, just because you think, now it may not be a lot most of your viewers, but for some people, just because you think it doesn't affect you doesn't mean it's not affecting people who actually been into those situations. Like a lot of these celebrities and people with money are grabbing attention that is truly needed for those who don't have the money or the resources to get what they really need. It's taking away what actually matters in the
Yep.
long run.
You look at Nancy Pelosi. She just got in trouble because she showed that picture of her refrigerator with all the ice cream in it.
Oh God.
A whole bunch of designer ice cream. And granted, yes, listeners, I do not really care for Nancy Pelosi. I don't share her same views, but I respect her as a human being.
Exactly.
And she should be held responsible for that because there are people right now who don't have money because they don't have jobs and they cannot feed themselves. Hearty, I don't know if it happens where you live right now, but where I live, they are handing out food.
There's I can't really say much for me right now because like our government is being like really weird right now because yeah, it's for example actually speaking of freedom of speech and like the internet and everything and how people just because they don't like what you're saying, there's a 16 or so year old girl who is threatened to be arrested and her whole family for saying she supposedly had a coronavirus.
Yep, because she was
Because
scared. Because
well,
she was
not just
scared that
scared.
she had
She
it.
actually, the doctors, her parents checked her out. The doctor said, "Hey, these tests say negative, but what you had and what aligned with, it could easily have been that way." And so the parents are like, "Okay, let's talk to the school, tell them this because the parents need to know." The school did nothing, and then she posts about it on Instagram and stuff like that because she wanted her friends to know, but also wanted to keep them safe. And yet at the same time the police are like some of the like not even a police officer, like the sheriff, like the person in charge of that area,
Yep, it was the sheriff
does
that came in
not
and
like
said
it and
that.
thought of it as a fear mongering and instead took away someone's freedom of speech. Again, if it doesn't hurt someone, it should not be illegal. This should not put someone in prison, especially their whole family.
Not for something
And
like
that
that,
just
no, not at all.
exactly like it didn't hurt anybody. and they were just doing it to say, hey, I'm okay, and I don't want to contaminate you or hurt you or anything, so I'm gonna taste it myself, but I want to show you that I'm okay.
The entire
But
problem with that was basically he didn't like that his community was being impacted by the virus,
yeah,
and he decided that, okay, well, here's what's going to happen. If you don't be quiet, I'm going to silence you.
yeah, exactly. Which is again against freedom of speech of one's
That's so
way of
wrong,
speaking.
and my views don't align with that. I think that he should be held responsible for being an absolute freaking just.
Yeah. I think that, well, and also people are like saying the guy who went to the person's door should be held responsible. I don't know about that. I don't know about his views. He was literally just doing his job, but definitely the guy, the
The
boss
guy
of
who
it, the guy
ordered
who,
it to be done.
yeah, exactly. Like that is just abuse of power. You're supposed to protect your citizens, not
I
threaten
believe there's
them.
a code of conduct for sheriffs and policemen alike, and it's supposed to be like serve, protect and serve, or something like that along those lines.
Yeah,
He's not exactly doing a very good job, in my honest opinion.
yeah,
But
and
again,
that's the
you
thing.
guys could have different views.
Exactly. But that's the problem with my state right now is they're more so concerned about the spread, which is fair, totally fair. But they're literally made it, certain places in my state included are making it so smaller businesses are unable to get through this properly and to be able to work as a company just because of a few, like, fear mongering. Like
Yep.
there's ways to
You see it on the
contain it while
news
still doing business.
every
Just
day.
like
They
that.
exaggerate things.
Yep.
Every single day, people.
Yep.
And just because they publish one little story about little Timmy having cancer, and or something like that, a little kid having cancer, and they're like, oh well, here's what we're doing to help him. That doesn't make it okay. That you've literally, one good action does not take away from all the bad actions you've done.
Yeah.
It might make you feel better, but it definitely doesn't make those things go away.
Yeah.
Shit. Um, was there anything else you'd like to talk about before we leave, Hardy?
No, actually, I'm good to go. I don't think I have anything else to say.
Guys, this is Hardy. I'll fucking link her channel in the description, and you guys can go sub to her.
Thank you.
And if she wants to put this up, she's more than welcome to.
Oh yeah, definitely. I
I
wouldn't
have
mind
no
coming
problem
again.
with that. We can alternate every week. If you want to upload this first one, you're more than welcome to, and I can upload the next one.
Nope, you can totally upload this one. I don't mind.
Because this is the kind of content I've been after for a while, guys. I've had the idea, and I needed a good co-host. Hardy, you were excellent today.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us.
And thank you for inviting me.
That is absolutely no problem at all. And guys, just remember, we need to handle things before they get bad. If you let things get bad, they get bad.